Hello friends and family of YouTube. Well, today I am going to take you to a haunted house, and it's back here in this patch of woods. Well, if you've liked some of the stories that I've told you in the past, you might want to get some popcorn for this one, because hey, this is my favorite story of all time. And 6 grown men have died back here. So since no young teenagers have ever been murdered back here, I brought some teenagers with me to protect me just in case. This is my nephew and niece, Hannah and Noah. So there they are. And they're gonna come back here with me, and maybe all 3 of us will still make it out alive. Well, there's not much left of the old house, but back in the 1800s, there was what was referred to as an inn, kind of like what a hotel would be today. And I don't know if you can tell through the soil here, but there's a little bit of brick still left, and the steps are still here. But this is where the old inn was at, in a town called Hazel Green, Alabama. And this was in the early 1800s. Andrew Jackson, among other many people that would travel through here, would stop and stay here in their travels. The gentleman who owned the place, his name was Adam Dale. Adam Dale had a daughter, and her name was Elizabeth. And Elizabeth was a redhead, and that's about all I know about her as far as her looks or anything of that nature. But anyway, some of these bricks are newer. The house was remodeled in the mid 1900s, but there's still a lot of old brick in here from back in the 1800s that were made by slaves, but handmade, of course. But anyway, this inn was built on top of what many people have thought maybe was an Indian mound, because we are an Indian burial mound. Anyway, we are up on top of this mound that is strangely situated out into the middle of a field, and it's the only mound out here. Well, I want you to keep in mind what I was saying, that Adam Dale had a daughter, and the stories have always talked about her being real beautiful and that she was a redhead, and that's all I know about her as far as physical appearance, and I don't know her age. But anyway, let's go to another portion of this story. Before I get too far away from this area, I want to show you the difference in bricks, how you can tell one is from the kind of a newer style, and one is from slave-made bricks. A lot of times you can tell by the coloring of the soil. If you look at the soil outside and you look at the soil color of this, these were made by the same soil that's out here. So what they would do is they would take the dirt and they would mix it up with straw or anything they could to give it rigidity, and then that's how they made their bricks. But you can see that this brick is a lot more narrow than what you buy today. If you go to a store and buy a brick, it's a lot thicker, and that one there is thicker than this one here. So, and you can definitely tell a color difference. See how dark that one is versus this one here. But anyway, I think I left out the part that this house burned to the ground in the 1960s, maybe early 70s. But yeah, there's huge pile of brick right here, and I assume this must be the chimney, because right here you can see part of a concrete substance. So this is probably where the chimney is at, and as the chimney fell, that's what made this big pile of bricks here. And just to confirm, Noah just found this piece of clay pipe here, and what that is from is that would go inside the chimney to help the smoke be able to leave the chimney easier. They would line it with this clay piping, And I don't know if they would buy this or make it, but that's the same color as the soil that's all around here. So it's very possible they could have made this on site as well. So anyway, let me get you down to the graveyard and I'll tell you the story about how these folks died up here. I'm sure this indentation in the ground here is not going to show up, but anyway, just in case it does, we've never known where one of the people was buried at, and we're on our way now trying to get down to the graveyard. We're still up on top of the mound, and we were walking down to get to the lower level when spotted this, and like I say, it looks like a grave. So a lot of times graves would sink in because they would use just an old pine box. After the pine box rotted, the soil would fall down, so that's why you would end up with an indentation like this. A lot of people think somebody was dug up, and sometimes that may be the case, but in this case it makes me wonder if somebody was buried here. Okay folks, now before I show you this next part, I want to give you a little inside information. This entire thing that I'm showing you is on private land. Now before you think that I'm trespassing, let me tell you a state law, and maybe it's a federal law, I don't know. But in Alabama, you cannot keep people from going to a cemetery. And because there is a cemetery here, that's why we are legally able to come to the place that we're going to right now. But I know a lot of you are going to say, I wish that somebody would fix that up, somebody would take care of that or whatever. It is on private property, so you know that's kind of got it a little tied up. So anyway, let me take you in here now and show you the rest of the story. Okay, so now for the rest of the story. The Elizabeth Dale, she was married 6 times in just a matter of a handful of years, and her husbands all died mysteriously. One of them had only lived to, from what I had heard, he had lived 3 months and had visited the doctor 45 times. So the husbands were buried here nearby the house. Right outside, if you walk down from the house, probably about, I don't know, 50 yards away. And also the father, her father, Adam Dale, the one that owned the inn, he was also buried here as well. From what I understand, he was later exhumed and his body removed and put somewhere else. And I'm not sure why they did that, but that's the story that I've been told. And so you can see all the graves that have been busted up in here. Now, I'm not sure if she was ever buried in here, and that's what made me wonder about that part that looked like a grave up there near the house. Because again, I've never heard of her being buried out here, and I've never seen her headstone. But I'm sure you can tell that this is sunken in here. Now, I don't know if this was her father's, Adam Dale, I don't know if this was his grave that, you know, as I said, he was dug up and moved. So I don't know if that was his grave there, or if that was some of the doings of grave robbers or whatever. But yeah, sadly, all of these graves have just been totally destroyed out here. And when I first came here in the 70s, 1979, maybe early 80s. Anyway, when I came here as a kid, these graves were not busted up. So this is, you know, and I've been here many times since then, of course, but back in the early 80s, these were not busted up. So I think somewhere around the 90s, maybe the 2000s, a lot of this occurred. So, you know, it had to seem odd for the local townspeople when they would come down here for another funeral, and here lays 5 other husbands from the same woman, and you know, they had to be thinking, well, here we go again. she's done married and lost another one. But I would imagine the slaves probably are the ones that dug the dug the graves, and of course I'm sure they stood around too. So it, you know, I like to give you that visual so you can try to visualize what it was like back then. Of you know, I always like to try to picture what it was like, especially knowing, I mean, this lady married 6 times in a short time period, and we have no idea what she died of or what they died from. It's always just been assumed that it was rat poison is what killed all of the men, but we have no idea whatever happened to her. So, strange story. Well, the story is that the house burned years and years ago, like I say, somewhere around the late 60s, early 70s. People say that you can come here at nighttime and see her carrying a lantern walking around up on the hill up there, but hey, I ain't coming here at nighttime. I'm smarter than that. How about y'all? Y'all want to come here at nighttime and see if she's walking around? Folks, I hope y'all enjoyed the story. Like I say, I've been sitting on it for a little while and wanted to share it, especially right at Halloween. So, yeah, a lot of the locals are scared of that place, and I don't know that you see many people go up there by themselves. So, hey, I'm glad I took the teenagers with me to protect me today. Well, folks, if y'all enjoyed this, I hope you hit like and subscribe if you hadn't done so already. And, hey, hit that little bell. I just found out today that even if you hit subscribe, that doesn't mean you'll always be notified when I put out a video, that you have to put that little bell to where it will notify you every time I give you a video. So I'd appreciate if you do that. Folks, y'all have a good one. I'll see y'all real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.